This way I can post it on my website. Um, I
It-
had knee replacement surgery October 30th, and so it's almost a month. Um, Rough stuff. Those first couple of weeks were really bad. Um, isn't that much better yet, but it is getting better on a daily basis. But yeah, another month I'll be fine. I'm going to try and drive car tomorrow, see how that feels. And physical therapy is brutal, man. They just beat you up to the point where it hurts.
Are you going to attend the physical therapist for every day, or is there any specific day?
On physical therapy,
Yeah.
I go twice a week, but in between, I still have to do all the workouts at home. And, oof, you know, when I was younger, I used to work out a lot. Now, not so much, not my most exciting moment. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Still a bit busy with the office stuff right now. Also, still traveling a lot in Inkuin.
Well, I was going to
Uh,
say, you've been traveling a huge amount, haven't you?
yeah, yeah. Currently, like actually, this week, this Sunday, I have a flight to Porto to visit our distributor in there,
Yeah,
and
I would go with you to Porto. I mean, I love that city.
everybody's waiting for you.
You know, I mean, I love drinking wine, and so I have a lot of aged port, and so going to Oporto is like woohoo. Great restaurants, great people. Um, yeah, look, I would love doing that. In any
Do you
event,
like
yeah, I'm envious of you.
do you like the fish stuff?
Which one?
Do you like the fish stuff in the
I,
restaurant?
I when I was there, and it's been quite a number of years, I was there with my wife, and we ended up eating at one of the restaurants from one of the wineries that Taylor Fladgate, which is a very famous uh, port. And I'm a fan. Wherever I go, whatever the local food is, that's what I eat. Uh,
Understood.
you know, otherwise, why are you traveling? Oh, yeah, to see a building and then go to McDonald's? Really? But and that's the unfortunate thing with Americans and you, huh? See,
You
I
know,
I
you,
I
you
will
know the
eat
story.
now. I will eat anything. Doesn't matter what it is. I may not like it and eat it a second time, but I will eat it the first time. And
For sure.
so, that's to me, I think that's part of the fun of traveling is experiencing the local foods and enjoying what the local people do.
Exactly.
But you did a lot of travel. You were down in how was the Mexico show for you?
The Mexico show, it was great. There was a lot of people. It was like normally I was not expecting these people uh, because when I talk with the people, normally, like frankly speaking, I was not expecting the people. There was a lot of people
Oh yeah,
in there, and
it's a show that draw. I did that show for God from the time it started until COVID hit, and since COVID, no, but it always draws a lot of people. Mexico City is 25 million people,
Mhm.
and there's a huge amount of screen printers in Mexico. Uh, Tons of small ones, but there are massive ones also. And where the company I did a lot of work for is a company called Avante, which is in Toluca, which is about 45 minutes or so from Mexico City.
Mhm.
Um, so the owner of the company, Rafael, um, is considered the poor member of the family. And his factory, they get in bales of cotton. So they do all the spinning, all the knitting, Uh, the place is about 3 million square feet. I think there are like 10 buildings and a full soccer court so that his employees can play um,
Sounds
soccer.
huge.
I mean, the size, it's just crazy in size.
I can't
Um,
imagine.
I think they run 12 automatics. Or the last time I worked with them, that's what they had was 12 automatics. And just great company to work with. Um, which distributors did you try to speak to?
Sorry?
Um, Richard, how are you?
Very good.
Terrific. Uh, so, Selim, which distributors were you trying to talk to in Mexico?
Actually, like we talked a lot of companies, but now we still didn't make any agreement. It's still the process is still going on,
Okay.
but it will be confirmed until beginning of the summer, I think, because we are developing some products for Mexico. Not also Mexico. Our export department target is for the next year until 2026. We would like to be in all America. That we also have the branch office in Las Vegas, but
You still have that
now,
one.
yeah, still it's still there, but we stopped sending a product there because
Right.
we are
No one
developing the
was really
product. The
distributing.
low bleed product is updating right now, and we would like to introduce the product again, like 100% good with the good performance. So in this case, it will be much better to update it and show go on to customer. So, but I think it's, yeah, as I told you, it's like beginning of the next summer, like everything will be ready and we will be ready. But for the Mexico and Brazil and Colombia, we are making having some visits and researching the market. And also end of the summer, there's a Colombia tax after the ISS Long Beach.
Well, ISS Long Beach is certainly the right place to introduce anything for the U.S. market.
Yeah.
Mexico, I'm very friendly with the owner of the largest company distributor there, Casa Diaz, and worked with
Yes.
them for quite a number of years. They are a Rutland distributor or Avient, as it works out right now. I don't know what kind of deals they have or what the situation is in terms of can they pick up any other uh, lines of ink or not, because Avient tries to
Prize.
get at a point where they're the ones, period. As a matter of fact, if you're on the next Charlie's Corner in 2 weeks, I have John McGee from Avient on. And so if you're curious, you should be able to just come in on the Charlie's Corner. And that one will be at the same time, but on December 10th. John is a close friend of mine, uh, but he certainly knows enough about what goes on in Avient. He's one of their senior technicians. Um, might be an interesting one for you to sit in on or to watch the video afterwards. That's up to you. So do you know Richard Greaves?
Nope.
No, he doesn't. You're probably better off not, but that's besides the point. Richard is another industry consultant. He and I go back to the early 80s, and Richard has worked for quite a number of different companies, done a fair amount of consulting over the years, and tends to jump in on this on a weekly basis, which is always nice to see him. And so here we are. So, Richard, Selim, and you enunciated Selim or
Selim.
Salem.
Still,
Selim.
Selim.
Yeah.
So Selim, he and I did some work together back in 2023, and he's with Inkuin Inc., uh, doing all of their overseas work and traveling extensively. That's why we were talking about the show in Mexico City, but he's been really hitting all over the world pretty heavily. You know, I wish I had his job only because I love the travel part of it. Not sure if about the trying to get distributors, but certainly traveling to the countries is fun. But in any event, that's what he does, and that's what we were chatting about. So you did Mexico City, and you went down to Colombia or to
So
Peru?
first of all, before Mexico, I was in Brazil. First,
Brazil.
I have been, yeah,
You
in Sao
can't
Paulo.
you can't do business in Brazil. I could have told you that, and I
When
could have
when
saved
when
you the
when we
trouble.
returned to when we returned to Mexico, I understood the situation. You know, the tax issue, the tax wall is incredible.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, we did a show in Brazil a number of years ago. I was there with Vastex. They had their equipment sold, but weren't allowed to because they didn't have an agent. And because of that, they couldn't take the equipment out. It's still sitting there. Uh, it's crazy. The duties are anywhere up to 100 or even 200%. And the only
Oh
way
my.
you can do business there is you have to have your own manufacturing in Brazil.
exactly.
And if you don't, you can't do business there. And so uh, I I could have told you that and saved you the trip, other than Brazil is an interesting country, but you couldn't do business there if you wanted to because the cost of your ink would be double.
But you know what? I'm so upset about Brazil, also Brazil printers, because when I have been there, I see a lot of things while meeting with some companies. I also have been in really big factories, but when I receive the all feedbacks, I'm upset
Now,
for them because
there
I'm so
there is a way there is a way of you selling into Brazil, and that would be through your Portuguese distributor.
yes, that could be an opportunity.
Where Brazil and Portugal have a pretty good arrangement,
Yes,
and of course they speak the same language. And so someone from Portugal could sell into Brazil, but you from Istanbul could not.
for sure.
You know, and it's one of those lessons that you learn the hard way. After you go there, it's like, oh well, I may as well enjoy the scenery. Maybe I'll drink some. Which I'll have feijoada, which is their national uh, dish. Uh, I mean, you were in Sao Paulo.
Yeah, I was in Sao Paulo, and on the weekends I passed it Rio for
Well,
rest.
Rio, at
And
least you could get to the beach and you could enjoy the young ladies there.
yeah, for the Saturday and Sunday, uh, I did a little bit rest. But you know, I found really good companies in Brazil. So actually, they are able to work with us. I'm not talking about Inquin. They're able to work. They want to work with in other countries, but
Yes,
the
the government doesn't want to. The government wants to keep everything in Brazil.
government. I'm really sorry for Brazil printers because the government opening their way. Well, I'm talking about the local production companies. The government opening the way for them with everything. They don't want to get someone from outside, but still the quality is really bad.
Yeah, it
I
doesn't
saw,
matter.
but people are used to work with them, but not some of them, maybe 90% of people, they are not happy with the local production.
Right. But so the government is very interesting. They say, okay, I want to buy this product. Well,
Okay.
this product is less money, et cetera, and it's better quality. And then the government says, yeah, but we have manufacturing of a similar product here. So you have to buy the local
Yes.
product, or you have to pay a huge amount of money to get the other product. And of course, they don't want to pay that kind of money. If they can buy a gallon of ink for $100 and then yours is going to be $200, even though it's better, they're not going to spend the $200 on it. And not only with you, with when I was in Brazil, there was a paper company that was also showing. What they did was they opened up a small manufacturing facility in Brazil, and they could then bring in all their paper from the US because they, quote unquote, are now a Brazilian manufacturer. Crazy. But the government is trying to protect their businesses. Unfortunately, in trying to protect them, they're also making them buy garbage
Exactly.
product, but they don't care. They
But
will.
I still have hope because I still continue to chat with some good suppliers. So maybe for the next year, there will be a little business start. Because if the company is strong, yes, they're able to work for export customers. I'm not only talking about the export customers.
If it were me, you're going to Oporto to see your distributor there. I would speak to them about you selling to them and them selling to Brazil. And I would be willing to bet that would work.
So,
Just a thought, but they do have a very strong relationship between the companies or between the countries. Um, you were in a couple of other interesting countries this year, weren't you?
sorry?
You were in some of the, I don't know if it was Uzbekistan or any of those.
Yeah, to be honest, my colleague has been traveling for that part. I'm actually handling for North Africa and Europe and South America right now. For the other part, my colleague is traveling there. We have distributions companies in Pakistan, in India, Sri Lanka, also Thailand. But the business is good in that
Yeah.
part.
No, there's a lot of business there. I know.
A lot
I've
of
never
business,
had.
but the relationship must be perfect because the people like Indian people, from Pakistan
Yeah.
people, and from Sri Lanka. You need to make a really good conversation, and I don't want
Well,
to say.
Sri Lanka, you have. I mean, I've been to Sri Lanka and Bangladesh and India with you. Um, you have pretty strong distributors in Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, don't you? Yeah. Um,
Quantity
what's good.
is high. The quantity is really high in
Yeah.
the of there, but also in
Well,
Bangladesh.
yeah, the factories there are huge. Most Americans have no idea how big the factories are. I know Richard did some work you were in Sri Lanka or Bangladesh.
No, Bangladesh, 7
Okay.
different factories.
Yeah. I mean, getting to them is the worst. The roads are horrendous. Uh, you know, and traffic. I remember I was with Bilal, and he said, "Oh yeah, we'll go into a factory. It's really close. It'll only take a half hour." 2 hours later, we were finally there. When you go to Bangladesh or Sri Lanka, if you see two factories in one day, it's been a good day because
It's good
just
day.
getting there and getting out is incredibly difficult. But when you do go into a factory, everybody thinks of these sweatshops where uh, people are being beaten with whips to go faster. The shops are beautiful, and everyone says, yeah, but they're walking around barefoot. Yeah, so is the owner. I mean, that's what they do. And in order to do that, the floors are so clean that they can do that. The shops are just amazing. And, you know, the perception in the US about shops in India and Bangladesh and the rest, there are definitely some small shops and they're horrendous. And there is some work that's contracted off to them without the big boys knowing about it. I mean, I went to one factory. It was like, yeah, no, this is no good. but I'd say 95% of what I saw uh, are cleaner and more organized than almost all the shops that I go to in the US. It's interesting. If a shop in the US wants to print for Nike, I would say the bulk of the shops in America would not qualify because they don't have the dual way of getting out of the factory. They aren't able to really conform to all of the things that Nike and Adidas and Puma and the rest of them want. And yet all the factories overseas are in compliance. And I know, Richard, when you were there, you spent a bit of time. The places that you went to had to be magnificent.
They were, but they were factories that were being converted. So there was definitely the old styles, old screens, solvent-based inks, slow production, and it was part of the team that I went to install brand new rock machines. And the coup de maître, the big brainstorm was when we would literally demonstrate printing 8 colors with a flash and getting a shirt off, every 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And you could see a lot of people didn't like that because they were worried their jobs were going away
And
because they had their fiddle going.
what's interesting, I was with Inkuin in, I think we were in Bangladesh or Sri Lanka. I can't remember. I get them mixed up because we usually go from one to the other.
Yeah.
But I had Action Engineering send in double squeegees and roller squeegees. And so we go to the first factory and they're printing a white with 3 strokes flashing, another white with 3 strokes and flashing, and a third white with 3 strokes and flashing, and then the rest of the colors. And of course, there was a person at every station with a 5-gallon bucket of water and a rag in his hand ready to wipe the screen because it was all water-based. And I said, let me show you what I brought with me because I think it makes sense. So we knocked it down to using a double squeegee with 2 strokes, flashing, a single squeegee with 2 strokes and flashing, and then finishing up. So we cut it from 3, 3, and 3 with flashes to 2 and 2. And of course, they're going much faster. I did this at several factories. How many double squeegees and roller squeegees do you think I sold? 0. And so I was talking to the distributor and I said, okay, I now show them how they could probably double their production. Okay. So I don't understand why they're not interested. And he said, they're probably interested, but they're also concerned that their production is going to go up. And the guy who runs the shop is not the owner. The owners are in England or whatever.
Yeah,
They stop by to say hello, once or twice a year, but they're never there. The only thing they're interested in is the numbers. And so the concern with each of these factories was if their numbers jump up so much, they're going to get called in by the owner to find out why the production is up so much and why it wasn't up earlier. And so they can't show a major jump. And so they just boot it out and they keep doing what they were doing so that they look, which was profitable. And so they're not going to rock the boat. They're not going to improve anything. And if they do improve it, 3-4%, that's fine. But, to do a 20-30% jump doesn't work for them. It just would, there would be too much of a issue there. Stupid, crazy.
I never have been there, but I think I should be there in one day for one day.
No, I mean, it was amazing. I was, I had 5 kits sent in and I left them all behind. And everyone that I spoke to said, yep, the production went up. And
then they
None
can't
of them
find the
bought it.
blades.
Huh?
And then they can't find those squeegees anymore.
Oh, I can guarantee you, I know where they are. It's called the garbage can. They will probably put up someplace where 5 years from now, somebody will find it saying, "What's this?" And they're going to say, "Oh, that's nothing. Put it back." But yeah, it's just such a different situation than what we're accustomed to. And speaking to someone from M&R, I said, "Okay, what's the trick to doing business there?" He said, "You need to speak to the owner directly." Now, if you speak to the owner directly and they say go ahead, well, then the production people are going to go ahead and do exactly that. But if you speak to head of production and not the owner, nothing is going to change. They may change their ink a bit. That's not going to really change the bottom line very much. And that's the only thing they're interested in is total number of prints and how much money are they making. But I know the shop I went to in Bangladesh was the biggest one there. I don't remember the name of it because I'm terrible with names. But I said, they have two buildings with the CEO's is on the rooftop. Whenever he gets there, there's the building up there and his homing pigeons and stuff and beautiful gardens and stuff. I said, "How much production do you guys do in a day?" And he said, "Oh, about 350,000 prints a day." And you talk to someone in the US and you tell them that, and they say, "Come on, that's not true. They're lying." And then, when you go there, you see two buildings of like 7 or 8 stories each with tons of tables with, 40, 50 automatics with CN top machines, et cetera. The Americans don't, these are third world countries, so they don't have the money. And you walk into those factories and it just blows you away because it's like they're sitting here with CN top machines at 400,000 a pop. They're sitting here with 30, 40 automatics. They're sitting with the print tables all over the place, and Americans just don't believe it. What they see is the little guy who's on Facebook, who's printing in his shop and he's doing 100 prints a day because he has to take it one color at a time, and then use a heat gun to dry it, and then go to the next color, et cetera. And if he does 100 shirts a day, he's doing very well for himself. He's making some money. And that's what everybody in the US thinks third world is about. And
Yeah.
it's not. It's so different. But, we've all been there, so we all know that it's different. Um, I just love going into those factories. I think that they're exciting. Um, I wish that even the way they print on print tables, I mean, with the screens where they put a handle on it, uh, you know, they'll use a wooden handle squeegee with a handle on it as well so that they can really go fast, which I used to do in my factory. My fastest guy when I started back in 1976 was a guy by the name of Sonny. Sonny could do uh, 600 shirts an hour on my print table.
Oh, on a print
Oh,
table.
600 t-shirts for an hour.
Well, he could print his one color at
Right.
600 pieces an hour. To do a 6-color job, it took 10 people. You had one person dropping, you had 2 people pinning it in place, then you had the 6 printers, and then you had somebody who had to lift to dry the shirts. But we could average out about 500 shirts an hour when I had my print shop on my print tables. And registration was not so wonderful, but when you're doing rock and roll, it was not a problem. On cut parts, we could be very accurate, no problem at all. But my guys were lightning fast. Um, Sorry about that.
No worries.
Um, the factories in Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, they don't move that fast, but they have to do very accurate work, and it has to look perfect for the particular companies. Some of the times I'm wondering why they're printing the way they do. I mean, they'll do a print, flash, even on the tables to make it, or I remember one particular job that I was there watching, and the guy was doing the Puma logo, and they wanted it in high density, but they wanted all the detail. So they were doing it with a 300 mesh screen, and they were doing a print, flash 6 times to just get enough so that you could feel the Puma logo. And, in the US, somebody would have taken that same job, used a 200 micron film on a 110 mesh and said, here, this is what we could do. Would it look as good as the other one? It wouldn't even come close. It would be higher, but, it would just be ragged looking. Always interesting overseas what they're willing to do for their customers. Where here, not going to happen. Of course, we can't afford it for what we're paying. So here's a question I have for you. I know you want to bring Inkuin back into the U.S. I see whoever's doing your Facebook stuff is doing a fantastic job, by the way. I love the looks.
Like our Facebook.
Oh yeah,
Facebook.
the posts that you have, I think they're beautiful.
Yeah, like we focus the social media, after the developing technology, also my management is new generation. It's like 30,
Well,
39 years old company, but the management is coming really fast and strong with the growing in new technology. So we must follow it,
well,
Actually, we have some new projects about the social media and the website with the new content. This is just the beginning.
Yeah, so I think the stuff that they're posting on Facebook is beautiful. But now that we have a new president coming in who is going to put in a minimum of 20% duties on everything, 20, 25, 60% on Chinese goods or 40% or whatever, that's going to definitely have an impact on you. And all of a sudden, your product is going to be 20% more just to bring it into the US, or at least 20% more. I think for Mexico and Canada, I read that he's putting in a 25% duty.
Yeah, Mexico, Canada, and China putting at
Yep.
20% for them. They may
Yep.
today. I think this morning I saw on the TVs.
Yeah. So it's
And
going
think
to
of
be
all
a
the
very,
materials that American ink companies bring in from overseas to blend here in the United States. It's going to affect us in a big way.
it's going to affect the consumer in a huge way, because if you're going to have to pay 20% more, you're going to bump up your price by at least that 20% plus whatever the cushion has to be. So if you had $100 a gallon, it can't even come in at 120 because that's not going to work. It's probably going to have to come in at about 125 a gallon. So that's going to definitely have an impact. And we'll see how all that works out. I don't think it's going to be I don't think it's going to work very well, but then again, I'm a screen printer, not an economist. So what do I know?
No. I respect you. Don't think like that. You are the master for me.
Well,
So
how's everybody else over at Inkuin?
yeah, everybody's doing great. Most of them traveling right now. Mr. Vidal, he is in Bangladesh right now.
Uh-huh. Well, he has an
Uh,
apartment in Bangladesh, doesn't he?
Sorry?
He has an apartment in Bangladesh.
Yeah, he's also in the branch office, as usual. Sometimes they are visiting our branch office.
Yep.
So they are there, I think, more 10 or 15 days. He will be there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I went there together with him, uh, spent about a week or so with him in Bangladesh. And yeah, he goes there quite often, I think. Good for
So
him. Yeah.
he's always traveling.
Uh, are you, have they been dealing with anyone in, uh,
Where?
Indonesia? Well, I don't, are you doing much in Indonesia at all?
Where?
Indonesia,
Niger.
Indonesia.
No, in the Niger, we are not dealing with someone, as I know that.
Ah, okay. I mean, there's one major company there, but I don't know about the rest of them. There is quite a bit of screen printing, but it's definitely not big factories other
Yeah,
than
not big factories. Also, there's one manufacturer in there. People are used to work with them in Niger.
yeah.
I was last month I was making a research for the country, but yeah, I need to push much harder for there. But let's see. So from our side, the situation is a little bit
Yeah,
difficult right now because the end of the year coming, and we have a new mission right now. We only focus it for South America, apart from the USA, because 100% we will be back for the
uh,
beginning of next year.
did you go to Peru when you were in South America?
No, for the next visit,
There's
I will visit.
so the biggest factory in Peru is a company called Top,
I know.
and
I heard about that.
I designed their screen room
Oh,
probably 20 years ago. Never got to see it. I did quite a bit down there. They are huge. I worked with the three biggest factories down there. Top was the biggest of the screen printers, but not the biggest factory. But I think he's grown. I think when I was there, I think he had about 6,000 employees. Um, and I understand now he's up to, I don't know how many employees, but when I was there, he had about 20 automatics and then print tables, et cetera. And I understand he's up to about 40 or 45 automatics. Um, he's an interesting guy, loves his chickens when you go out for lunch, although eating at his factory was magnificent. Uh, Manuel is his name, and very unassuming. Um, the woman who's always with him is Betty, who speaks English because he doesn't, or theoretically he doesn't, but she's the one who does all of the in-between work. But the amount of business that he could do was huge. Uh, it's just it's an interesting country. You almost have to know someone to get into factories, otherwise getting in is almost impossible. And
me too.
what's pretty cool is buying stuff there. You can buy things that are made in silver for next to nothing, especially at the night markets. I mean, they are just fantastic. I remember bringing back a bunch of different things for my employees just because it was kind of fun. But Peru is definitely a major market. Print Top Ink was actually made in Peru, and Avian bought it, and I don't think it's made in Peru anymore. But the guy who made it had a non-compete which is almost up, and so he's going to be manufacturing ink in Peru again. So that'll be an interesting thing.
It's interesting for me. I will check it. I will check it out.
Yeah, I mean,
For the South America, step by step, we are walking, but it's a little bit quiet and slow because while researching, also the end of the year is coming, so
oh yeah,
people are getting quiet. It's not very possible to contact with them every day.
yeah.
They are
Now,
doing the another stuff, but for the next year, let's see what we can do.
so are you going to be coming to the Long Beach show, even to walk it, or not?
I'm just trying to arrange my schedule. I think second week of December, I will decide it. But still, I don't know to visit ISS. But I would like to. But I will check I will check the schedule because there are some additional visits. So let's see. But for the Colombia tax, I need to be there. I
Which
will
one?
visit Colombia tax.
Oh, okay.
Colombia tax.
Which country, which city is that in? Medellin or?
It's in Medellin.
Yeah. And okay.
Yeah. Also, I also have some appointments, so I need to be there. I need to see the
Uh,
opportunities in the country because it is the first site in that area, you know.
mm,
But all
no.
in the same time, for sure, there are too many opportunities in El Salvador, Honduras, Peru, Panama, and for the rest of the countries, there are really good business, but not like for sure in Mexico.
Well, I'm hoping that you still offer me the opportunity to do a seminar with you.
Thank you. I hope to.
Yeah,
No, but
I'll be ready to go dancing at that point.
Ah,
you know, we are the old customers, my distributor in Porto, they are waiting for you. And
No, um, once Long Beach is finished, I'm definitely open. So if they're interested, I'm certainly capable of going there, no problem at all. I'd be happy to do some work there.
you can be sure about their interest in, because the Portugal market, sorry, the Portugal market is really professional in the world. They are working really, they are really working with good details, and they are following the technology, not like the other countries.
Well, I'd love to go and I'll bring along whatever I need to make it. Uh,
The thing is, everybody knows everything.
well, of
So
course they do.
there's a need
But
there.
I thought that was only New Yorkers who already knew everything. Everybody knows everything until you show them something new, and you have to show them something that's going to be very um, earth shattering to them, something that is like wow. And if you can get a little bit of a wow, then you have them. If it's like, yeah, I'm not interested, then it's a dead issue. The whole thing about going into factories is taking a look at what they're doing and seeing how you can make it a little bit better and a little bit faster. Um, Everybody thinks they already have everything worked out that's perfect. I've yet to walk into any factory where things are perfect. I've walked into some where it was a challenge because they were doing an excellent job. And there you're just looking to improve them a little bit. And, in general, for a lot of factories, you can go in and show them how to get much better production, you know, 5, 10% better, if they're willing to get their employees to do that. I did an interesting job in Pakistan years back, and the owner had several machines, but one really big M&R machine. And so I'm watching them doing production, and the owner is somebody who uh, not the most attentive owner. He didn't pay enough attention. They finished a job, and after they finished the job, they're cleaning off the screens. And after they clean the screens, they're going searching for the next screens, and then they're going searching for the next ink. And it was like, you got to be kidding me. And so, uh, I put together my list of procedures, and before the job was finished, I needed the new screens and ink already put behind the station where they were going to go, et cetera. And he had 3 people that had to take care of business for him, so to speak. And he took a magic marker and he goes over to the first guy and he draws a number 1 on his chest and said, "You're number 1." Goes to the next guy and draws 2 on his shirt. The next guy a 3. And he said, "You're responsible for that. You're responsible for that. You're responsible for that." Which, at that point, they had to do what they had to do. His production was so bad that it actually jumped about 25%. when I saw him about 6 months later, he said, "Oh yeah, production's up about 25%, and it could have gone to 40 or 50%, but you can't push that hard on day one." But
Right.
it was always an interesting place. So my fun story there, I met the guy in China. I was doing a show in China, and he came up to me and said, "I want you to come to my factory." I said, "All right." And so he said, "What do you charge?" And he pulls out a batch of $100 bills, and he peels off half of what he's going to pay me. Okay, so now I have this bundle of $100 bills. And he said, "When can you come?" I said, "Well, I can't come till December." And I said, "Oh, okay." I said, he says, "But what about Christmas?" I said, "You're Muslim?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "I'm Jewish. Neither one of us cares about Christmas."
December.
Okay. So I go down there. What do you think? Do you know when the Pakistan Independence Day is?
It's in September, isn't it?
No, it's December 25th, Christmas
Wow,
Day.
Christmas Day.
So on Christmas Day, on December 25th, everything is closed. And I'm thinking, even if you were Jewish, even if you were Christian, you would still have been able to celebrate Christmas, 24th and the 25th, because everything is closed anyway. So that was my fun story, because he was a Muslim, I'm Jewish, and neither of us celebrate Christmas. But on Christmas Day, everything is closed in Pakistan anyway. Easiest to remember.
I remember being in Pakistan and there were holidays. It was some sort of a holiday season, and everybody knew but me. So I spent quite a bit of time at the hotel.
Yeah. Well, it's not the safest country I've ever felt good in. My client, so the hotel they put me in was in a compound,
Me
and
too.
my client would come and get me in the morning. We'd have breakfast at the hotel. We'd go off to work. Um, he never let me out of his sight. I
For
have to
me,
admit, the one thing there, spice. Oh my God. No matter what you ordered, it was spicy. So he took me down to the shore and figured, okay, I got it made. I'm going to order a lobster. What can they do? They fill it with spice. I mean, I swear the water had spice in it there.
Well,
But
it's
nice.
interesting.
Yeah. I mean, there were some funny things that happened when I was there. So he took me out for high tea. I said, high tea, like in London? He said, nah, it's just an excuse. Pakistanis love to eat. And so, you know, they call it whatever they want, but basically it was a huge, huge place buffet. And so the table next to us had 6 women dressed in all black. Okay. And so I go and I get my food and some tea and stuff, and I'm sitting down and I'm watching the women at the next table. And of course, they have to push the uh, mask forward so that they can eat. And so, except for the fat girl took the mask, threw it over her head, and is
The
just
better way.
eating. And face is exposed. And I'm thinking, I wish I could take a picture of this, but if I did, they would probably kill me.
mm,
But I thought that was the funniest thing was 5 of them are just eating behind the mask. And she was like, nope, I'm not doing that. Mask went over her head and she just started eating. Who knows?
You know how to make it easy.
Well, I understand the whole religious aspect. I understand that, if this is what they are about, then that's what you do. Because not everybody in Pakistan was wearing masks or was in all black. Uh, Most of the women were, everybody had scarves and stuff. That I understand. But I would say not all the women had masks at all. Most didn't, which I understand. That was fine. But if you're going to be a religious one, then you're supposed to stay religious as opposed to, yeah, I'm religious only until it comes to food. Then I'm not religious anymore. Anyway, um, So when do you think you're going? I have some inks that I'm going to be finally printing once I can actually get up and move around. Not that I'm not moving around, but where I can stand in front of a press and actually print. So
I'm
you
looking for
sent me
your update from you.
a low bleed ink and you sent me a low bleed
And low
ink
cure, yeah,
and a
yeah,
cotton.
low bleed and low cure, which I send it to you. I'm just waiting update from you, because your print is really important. Your feedback is really important for me. So
Well,
then,
the shop that I'm working with, which is fortunately not too far from me, um, is always interested in seeing whatever new products come around. And so I'm going to set up a job, and basically it's just going to be one color work, but with a lot of detail. Just white ink on a black shirt because there's no point in putting in a bunch of colors that's not going to really affect you. And I will let you know what I think, and I'm going to have his people print for me because to me that's more important than I'm going to print just so I can get a feel for it. But I need to see how they can handle the ink.
understood.
But I didn't realize that you still had the place in Las Vegas.
So the company is still in there.
You have ink there as well, or is it just an empty warehouse at this time?
It's all empty company and empty warehouse right now. We
Okay,
currently stocked for this year, but next year it will be available again. So there is no any
okay,
product in United States. We returned all the products from there.
okay. So you're going to be looking for somebody to run the warehouse there out of Vegas, or you're going to look for somebody in.
I think we will pass a little bit south. It could be not California, but it could be on the middle. But we will still having some meetings. So there are some opportunities for
Well, you,
experienced people.
I know you were working with Multitech. They were distributing for you.
On the past, yes.
Yeah, not anymore, obviously.
Not anymore. Not anymore. On the past, we were working with them, but from now, there's like zero operation in there right now.
Okay. Well, I assume you're going to try working with them again once you decide to come back into the U.S.
Do
Which
Rob
would
and
make,
John still work with you?
No, we are not working with them anymore. But when I started Inkuin, I never meet with Rob, but I heard a lot of things about him. But I have a opportunity to experience work with John. He was very good. I'm still
yeah.
They're both
talking.
top guys.
I'm still talking with him sometimes
Oh, with
on the
John
late
Carroll.
nights. John Carroll,
Hi.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, it'd be interesting to see what happens when you try to come back into the U.S., especially with what's going to be happening in January. I think the fact that you're not in the U.S. at the moment is probably not a bad thing. Um, Only because what you would already have had in the States is going to be at one price and what's going to come in later is going to be a whole different deal. So January is going to be interesting for a lot of us. Um, from even on the US side, a lot of the garments and everything else are not manufactured in, I mean, the US has minimal manufacturing of garments. And so the stuff that has to come through NAFTA, they're talking about changing all that or maybe even killing the NAFTA agreement. Um, that's going to definitely impact the screen printers in the US pretty heavily. Um, if those shirts come in with duties on them of 20%, that's going to definitely make the screen printers go crazy, which is what
We
we're
all
concerned with.
all going to be crazy. But how is the situation in United States right now? How is it like general business situation for textile market and for screen printers?
In the
What about
US,
the American brands, the manufacturers? What is the situation?
but in talking to some of the people that I work with, uh, back in May, it seems like somebody took a knife and just cut business in half. All of a sudden, everything just stopped. I was talking to Vastex, which is an equipment company, and they said, "Boy, man, we were doing great up until May, and then all of a sudden, May was like, boom, a bomb went off, and nobody was buying." And talking to some of the screen printers that I work with, they found the same thing. Business was going well, and then all of a sudden in May, uh, it just dropped dead, just nothing. Uh, I'm not sure how much it's picked up now, but it has picked up some. Of course, everybody in this country right now is uh, concerned with DTF. And so that's the big talk. And so you really don't hear much about anything else other than all the DTF companies. Um,
But
who
you know what?
knows?
For the DTF and digital, we are not inside of the, like as Inkuin, we are not inside of that market. We are not selling any or making a production for these equipments. But in my opinion, normally, as you remember, from the 2000 to 2020 2022 on the beginning, they were all talking about the digital, and on these days, DTF was not on the market, but they were making an advertisement. So, but the thing is that everybody told that it will increase, the market will increase, and the screen printing will be die. So, but the situation is opposite right now. The digital and DTF is decreasing and screen printing increasing because of the cost.
Well, I think the thing with DTF, when DTF hit, it was going to replace screen printing, and it really didn't. What it replaced was DTG. Um, the 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 DTF market is really a small percentage of what goes on. Screen printing is still the major
Yeah,
situation. The person that wants 12 pieces or 20 pieces or even 100 pieces full color, DTF is certainly a smart way to go, cost less, etc. But you can't do major production with DTF. There's just too much handling involved, and the hand doesn't feel so good. It's getting better, but it's going to take time for it to get to a really good stage. Uh, it's just the big talk right now. Look, the screen print market, as far as I know, uh, from the numbers that I've heard from people, we still make up 90% of the manufacturing of printed product. And so DTG and DTF and all that maybe has 10%. Okay, so they have 10%. Good. There's still the 90% out there, and you don't realize it until you go to places like Bangladesh and Sri Lanka where the factories are huge and the amount of prints that are coming out are crazy. Not that they're not doing some of the DTF and stuff, but still, that's not on the major production level. And so, yeah, I don't think that's going to really affect us. But I just know that in the US, somehow in May or somewhere around May, everything just dropped dead for a while. And I'm not sure how much it's picked up lately. I know the equipment companies are certainly pushing right now because you can take tax benefits by buying and receiving before January 1st. But still, I think the Long Beach show is still where you're going to see if anybody is buying anything, they're going to do it in Long Beach, or they've already bought it and they're going to just pick it up after Long Beach, something to that effect. We'll see. But yeah, the U.S. market is definitely going through some interesting changes, I think. And business definitely was down. I don't know if it's still down. I'm out of touch at the moment since I'm trying to get recovery from my knee. But yeah, I do need to speak to a couple of people just to get a feel for what's going on. But uh, I think most screen printers are doing fine. They're back in business. They're holding their own. Part of the deal.
business is really down for all of the world right now. For all manufacturers and all the printers, all the big brands. We are following the news every day, and we are having every day new updated information about the brands. After this economic situation, the brands are moving the countries, changing the countries because of the costs.
Mm.
So in this situation, the best way is just surviving and trying to be alive and to save the cost. But in the same time, there are too many empty places. There are too many opportunities. So let's see.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's always a battle. I mean, that selling is always an interesting thing because everybody wants the best price, and then but they also want quality, and so you have to pay for quality. And so the question is, okay, if I buy your product, what's my benefit? Oh, you're going to have better product production. Okay, that's good. Or you're going to have a better quality product. It's going to look better. I'm not so sure that that's going to do enough for me because my customers are happy with what I put out now. So if I can make it better without changing my price, that's fine. But if I have to change my price, I may lose my customers. Always an interesting and delicate situation. Um, Part of what has to happen in any
I
event.
don't understand the people mentality. When they compare the price and performance. In my opinion, to be very frankly speaking, I'm in the young generation. I could be new in this market, but I'm doing really good analysis for the people from the printing side and from the supplier side. I'm thinking both of for the both sides, and when I give the feedback, they are not doing great in the world right now. All the printers are only looking for the price and without seeing checking the quality. And at the final, they are losing the job, and also they are losing the cost.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of closed-minded people, and
They are not
everybody,
calculating. Nobody's
everything
nobody's
comes down.
calculating.
Yeah, it's price, and it's like, no, it's not just price; it's production, 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 and getting more product out the door. Always a challenge.
We are
In any
respecting
event,
everyone.
yeah,
We
well,
are respecting everyone. We are supporting every customer, every distributor, and as a Inkuin, we are ready to work with everyone.
yeah. Well, that's always a challenge, but it's also the fun part. So, in any event, I'm going to let you go to sleep. I know it's late there. Um, it was nice having you on. This will all be on my website. So, if anybody wants to get back to it, and if you have the chance in 2 weeks, you might want to come on and just hear what John McGee has to say. In any event, thank you so much. Say hi to everybody at the shop for me.
And thank you so much for everything. It was an honor to be here. It was
No,
my first.
it was
Sorry.
wonderful to have you on.
Oh, thank you. It was my first meeting like this online. I
Oh, you
was
were fine.
on the first offer. I was so excited, but you remember my message. I didn't know what to do, but
You know
it
what?
was.
I did this very different than some of the others. That some of them have questions that they want answered. That I would rather have it as an open session. We can talk about whatever we want to, and it doesn't really matter. Uh, there's nothing to prepare. All you got to do is show up,
Be yourself.
and,
Yeah,
and it
I
works out.
understand. I understood the mentality, and it was perfect.
Yeah, there's always something to talk about. In any event, thank you. Say hi to all for me, Richard. Nice having you on. Hope to see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you,
And
Charlie.
thank you again.
Nice to meet you, Richard.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank
All
you.
right, bye all.